Hello and welcome to a second lesson in our series called Chess Teaching Life Lessons. The first lesson was called Teamwork, and I showed how a king and rook can checkmate a lone king with perfect cooperation and teamwork. The second lesson now that I'm about to give is called Leading from the Front, and we'll look at king and pawn against king. So here it is. If the enemy king is in a position to block the pawn, and here it is, it's right in front, then the king must lead from the front. You've got to get up here. It's no good pushing the pawn forward, because even if your king is behind it, the enemy king can block you and you're not going to get through. So you have to push your king forward, going back to the start position again, and lead from the front. So you go like this, like this, like this. Might seem strange blocking the path of the pawn, but there's a reason for it. He goes here, now you go here. Now, as long as your king can occupy one of these three squares in front of your pawn, you can win. This guarantees you a win no matter where the black king is, here right in front, right in its best blocking position. But if you can get your king under one of these three squares, then the win is guaranteed. There was a news item I heard just recently of a police car that went to investigate some crime or other, and the commander stayed back in the car, and the journalist writing about it, no doubt a brave journalist who always got in the thick of things himself, said that's not the way to lead. You must lead from the front. So that's the position, and it means that the king must give way. Doesn't matter whose move it is in this position, the black king is going to have to give way, and so you've paved the way for your pawn. Now, another position, if your pawn is already brave and advanced, the king doesn't need to be so far forward. You only need to be somewhere on this line, one square in front of your pawn, because your pawn is already quite brave, so the necessity of leading from the front isn't quite so great. When it was back here, anywhere on your side of the board, you had to be two squares in front. If it's back here, you can be here. If it's back here, you can be here, and any one of these three squares right in front of it always guarantees you the win. But when the pawn is up here, you only need to be somewhere on one of these three squares, just one square in front of your pawn. Okay, so now we'll look at this position here, and this position is a draw because white king is behind the pawn and the black king is in its perfect position, blocking. So no matter which direction white tries, the black king blocks it. What can he do here? Tries to go forward, black king goes across, and the only thing white can do to avoid losing his pawn is to go there, and this position is stalemate because the black king can't move. So we see the importance, going back to this position, for black of getting your king right in front of the pawn. And we could say for the black side, put your body on the line. We could say right on the line. If your king is not quite on the line, you're going to lose. No matter, of course, if it's over here, anywhere else, you're going to lose. But here, you're very close to being on the line, but not quite there. And white can win. If you want to pause the video, maybe work it out for yourself. I'll show it in a minute. White wins by putting his king up there. Now what can black do? He goes where he should have been in the first place, in front of the pawn. Now the white pawn goes forward, and now the black king has to give way. And now we control the queening square, and the pawn will queen, and white will win. Now, there are special problems you have to avoid with knight pawns and rook pawns. A knight pawn is on this file, a rook pawn is on this file. And of course the same would apply over this side, the knight file on that side and the rook file on over here. I said that once you get your king on one of these three squares, you're going to win. But not in this case, because, as you see, put your king up there, and it's stalemate, a draw. So with the knight pawn, you have to be extra careful, and instead of going this side, you go this side to flush him out of the corner. This is what in rugby they would call the blind side. Go blind side. So now the king has to move, now you go forward, and now you've flushed him out, and again you're going to queen. Okay, so that's with the knight pawn. With our rook pawn, the problem is even worse. Once the black king gets into the center, into the corner in front of the pawn, you can never flush him out because there's no room at the edge of the board. And it's also a problem if black pins your king in front of your pawn, because you're never going to get out. You can only go back and forwards, and he can block you all the way. So the rule is, with a rook pawn, you have to occupy either this square or this square. These are the two critical squares that you must occupy, because that'll block out the black king from getting anywhere near, and it'll stop him from encroaching on you. So it also works if you're here, because you can't. So these two squares are enough. This one and this one to occupy one of these two squares, and you've got the win. Your king must reach one of the two squares at the end of the file next to your pawn. So, there we have it. Leading from the front. Don't let the foot soldiers do the work. Get up there, show them the way, lead from the front. That's true leadership.